Welcome in. What's Right with Nick Wright, episode 93. Live on YouTube right now on this Thursday morning. One of you YouTube viewers today is going to be our 9 millionth viewer. Our videos on a whole are just a few thousand short of 9 million views. So someone watching this very show will be our 9 millionth viewer. Hopefully someone watching this show will be our 85,000th subscriber. We are a little behind the pace. We need 15,000 more subscribers to get to 100,000 by, we're going to push, we've been saying New Year's, by the end of the NFL regular season. That gives us an extra week. We're going to try to get there. I know we're getting there eventually, but for DeMonze to get the $1,000 cash bonus, we need to be there by the end of the NFL regular season. So tell your friends about the show. Also, before we get to what's actually on the show, so I feel a little angst right now, a little parental angst, because I gave DeMonze a very hard time a few weeks ago about not having his AirPods for the show. He got upset with me, thought I was a little harsh on him. I thought I was totally reasonable. Today, en route to the show, he double-checked to make sure he had his AirPods in the Uber, and he had them. Now, maybe this whole thing's a ruse. Maybe I've been taken for a ride. He's faking the angst, faking the anger, he just forgot them again. I don't think that's the case. I think because I was so mad a few weeks ago, he then double-checked, made sure he had them after taking them out of his bag, making sure he had them, he then left them in the Uber. And I'm not upset about this at all. DeMonze, on the other hand, is beside himself. He is so upset because he just bought them, and it's not even about not having them for the show. It's about the fact that it's like lighting money on fire. So, in service to the quality of the show, I have something to show DeMonze.
Oh, this guy.
There you go. So, I bought some new AirPods. We
Man,
picking them up.
Make me seem like a freaking little twerp or something.
No, I'm not making it seem like anything. You didn't ask me for that. You were going to get them.
Pops.
I happen to, in the current situation, make a little bit more money than you. I don't mind doing it. I also have to buy your sister a new Apple Pencil, not because she lost it, but because hers broke. So I'm with two birds, one stone. I'm going to pick those up after the TV show today, so you'll be made whole. You'll now feel great about today's show. We're going to do awesome. By the way, participate in the chat to ask us questions or to post comments. We will get to them at the end of the show. We also have book club at the end of today's show. But first, here is what missed the cut for today's show. Sepp Blatter saying the World Cup in Qatar was a mistake. You don't say, Sepp. Who could have seen that coming? Matt Stafford in concussion protocol, and DeMonze, future senator. So on Monday's show, I gave DeMonze a hard time for being really dedicated to the hoodie and shorts look. He did not take that critique lightly. He said, oh, not everyone always wears all these matching sweatsuits. It's a very common, very popular look.
It is.
John Fetterman, 6'9" United States Senator from Pennsylvania, rocks this look at almost all times. So you now have representation in the U.S. Senate. That man prevented Dr. Oz from becoming a U.S. Senator. Shout out John Fetterman. Shout out the people of Pennsylvania. Shout out DeMonze for having a little support on the shorts and hoodie look. Now, DeMonze, let's get to the show.
All right, the biggest story in the NFL may quietly be brewing in Buffalo, with Josh Allen dealing with an elbow injury. And not only an elbow injury, but his elbow injury on his throwing arm.
Yeah.
The Bills have a big match. Yeah, the Bills have a big matchup facing the 7-1 Vikings this week, and without Allen, the Bills would have Case Keenum at quarterback against his former team. Is the whole NFL about to flip on its head, and are we betting Dolphins plus 500 or Jets plus 2,000 to win the AFC East?
Well, I'm not ready to bet on either one of those two teams to win the AFC East. It is an interesting. You can if the Dolphins are plus 500 and the Jets are plus 2,000. So then you combine them, and it'd be 25-2. The plus 500 odds You could put, you understand what I mean? Like 2,000 plus 2,000 plus 500, and then you make 2 bets. You could get 25-2, which is you could get 12.5 to 1 on those 2 teams to win. You know what? So let me give you a better example on it. If you put $100 on the Jets to win the AFC East, and you put $400 on the Dolphins to win the AFC East, that wouldn't actually be 12.
Like you end up breaking even?
Well, you could make it to where you could make it to where on either bet, if you want to win $2,000 fading the Bills, you could combine the 2, right? And it wouldn't actually be the 12.5 to 1. Math was wrong, obviously. My apologies there. But you could risk a total of $500 to guarantee a return of $2,000. That's only 4 to 1. If you really believe the Dolphins or the Jets are going to win the AFC East, you cover both your bases there. I'm not ready to go there. I am ready to say this, however. Vegas does not think Josh Allen's playing. This game was 8.5, 9 points. As we're doing this show right now, it's 3.5 points. And I think it's just moving down. Josh did not practice on Wednesday. The Bills, for all of their alleged seriousness about winning a championship, have not. They've scored 25 touchdowns on offense this year. 23 of them have been by Josh Allen. They do not have what you would call a well-balanced attack. Now you might say, Nick, no team can deal with losing their quarterback. I don't know. The Chiefs lost Mahomes for 2.5 weeks the year they won the Super Bowl. And their backup quarterback came in and beat the Vikings, played a tough game. I think it was against the Packers. They finished the game against the Broncos. They went 2-1 in the stretch without Mahomes. It helped them get a top 2 seed, helped home field go through Kansas City. Case Keenum's a viable backup quarterback. Case Keenum's won a playoff game in this league. Case Keenum's played in an NFC Championship game. With all that said, the reason this makes the Jets' loss even more devastating because you don't have a margin of error if you're Buffalo. And what you can't have if you're the Buffalo Bills is for the second straight year, you go to Arrowhead in the regular season, you beat the Chiefs, you get a game up in the standings and get the tiebreaker, and then yet somehow, when the playoffs roll around, you don't have home field. The Bills, I believe, to have any shot to beat the Chiefs in the postseason, need that game to be in Buffalo. Because for as great as the Chiefs have been for the last 5 years, they have not played a single road playoff game. That's a testament to how great they've been, but it also does mean, while I don't question it, it is an unknown of how Mahomes and the Chiefs offense would function in a loud road playoff environment. You add to the fact that while Kansas City weather in January ain't great, Buffalo weather in January is horrifying. And a bad weather football game, you would think, would favor a team whose both teams' quarterbacks can run, but the Bills' quarterback is so big and strong, you would think that favors him a bit, right? Speaking of him running, however, this is where this really has a long tail on impacting the season. Let's say Josh just misses 1 week. And I understand he did not hurt this elbow running the football. The Bills have not developed a run game. Their run game is Josh Allen. If he's already banged up on his throwing arm, his throwing elbow, are the Bills going to feel comfortable calling those designed quarterback runs and those designed quarterback runs and they have to lean on a running game that does not really exist? That, to me, is problematic for them. So there are a lot of red flags for the Bills, they're a very good team, but I cautioned everyone they're being crowned a little too early. A Josh Allen injury obviously is the worst case scenario for them. It looks like they're dealing with it right now. So, all right, we can move on to Jeff Saturday.
All right, right after our show ended Monday, Colts head coach Frank Reich was fired. Later that day, owner Jim Irsay made the wildest move in recent NFL history, and that being He hired analyst and former Colts center Jeff Saturday as their interim head coach. Rumors are swirling Saturday may add Dan Orlovsky to his staff. 2 questions. How do you not take the Raiders -6 at home against Indy? And if you were in Saturday's position, which one of your media colleagues would you hire as your staff?
Oh, all right. That last question's interesting. So I am taking gambling show tomorrow. I am taking the Raiders. I just feel like it's a must bet. The Colts had the worst offense in the NFL by any team this season. The worst offensive game anyone's played, in my opinion, and in some statistical opinion, was the game last week against the Patriots, right? That was after they fired their offensive coordinator. They've now fired their offensive-minded head coach and play caller. They're now having some 30-year-old call plays, and Jeff Saturday is the head coach. So I do love the Raiders this weekend. Maybe Saturday will be great, but he also, as far as experience goes, is none. Excuse me. And I'm going to go further. Deion Sanders, the great Deion Sanders, one of the greatest players ever, 2 years ago, was hired to be the head coach at Jackson State, an FCS college with no coaching experience outside of high school. And they criticized that move. How do you hire him? How do you skips all the steps? He's not going to have the experience. He's not going to know what it takes. That was one of the greatest players ever in small division college football. You're now taking a good player who hasn't coached at any level and putting him as the head coach of an NFL team. It is one of the most ridiculous and indefensible coaching hires in sports history. That is not in debate. Now, does that mean he definitely will fail? No. But it's insulting to minority candidates that can't get a look even if they've been coordinators and for 15 years. It's insulting to guys of any race who have been trying to grind their way up in the coaching profession, and it's insulting to the players on the Colts. Okay? Now to the more interesting part. Who would I hire? So if I were the head coach of an NFL team, I would hire Bill Barnwell to run my analytics department without any question at all. Run my analytics, and he would be on the front office side of things. And I guess I don't know if he would run my analytics department. Barnwell would run, you couldn't make any trades or sign any contracts without running them by Barnwell. And the value that you have to give up, I think he's brilliant at that. My analytics department, I obviously would run, but I would bring in, I would consider trying to bring in Ben Baldwin, who is on Twitter at Computer Cowboy. He has some good. I like his fourth down bot he built. I like that. He would be my guy up in the booth. It's a bot. He built a computer program that automatically says kick, punt, go for it, and does it for every game. And I trust his methodology. I would hire Mangini to run my defense. I think Mangini is gotten short shrift on what he did in the NFL, and I think he's actually pretty. I mean, he's still really locked in and tied in. Any other media colleagues? I wouldn't hire Orlovsky, not because I don't respect him, but I don't think Orlovsky likes me. Orlovsky's on the list of guys that I think doesn't respect me. I don't have any evidence of that. It's just my gut feeling. Yeah, well, it's hard to. You can like someone. No, you can respect someone and not like them. It's very hard to like someone if you don't respect them. Right. You know what I mean? And I don't know why. I just now I also, who did I think that about? Oh, I did a podcast with Ethan Strauss, and I told him I didn't think he liked or respected me. He told me I was wrong. So maybe it's my own self-consciousness. I'm trying to think, is there anyone else I'd be like, oh, I got to get him? No, I think it'd be Mangini for the defense, Barnwell for the front office, and Ben Baldwin for the analytics department, and I'll oversee everything else. Can I tell you something? I couldn't design offenses, but I could call plays. Like, I couldn't, someone else would have to design the plays, but you don't play Madden for 25 years and not know how to call some plays. All right, by the way, poll question, 50-50. Would DeMonze be a better head coach than Jeff Saturday? Take that. All right, next.
All right, Seahawks head coach Pete Carroll gave a big shout out to his quarterback for wearing a wristband.
Yeah.
He said the communication between him and Geno is much better and more efficient than it was before. Shade thrown at Russ. Well, Russ didn't like that and came back and said that he won a lot of games in Seattle without wearing a wristband. Are Seahawks the first team in NFL history to be winning out of spite?
Okay, so a couple things. One is we recognize DeMonte's mic has a bit of an echo. We'll make sure we fix that during the break, but bear with us here. Here's what I find so intriguing about the Seahawks. And first, Geno's one of the best stories in the league. It's great. And yeah, sorry. I mean, I feel badly. You're not even supposed to laugh. You know your mic's an issue, so you just got to be quiet for a minute. Not your fault. Geno's an unbelievable story. What I find so fascinating is this team, seemingly to a man, really, really disliked Russ. Pete Carroll had no reason to take this shot at Russ. No one was asking about Russ. No one was asking about the past. They were just praising Geno, and he couldn't help himself but to throw it in. So here's my theory. So we know why the defensive players didn't like Russ. Set the corniness aside. They felt he got too much credit for their greatness. That the team was built on the Legion of Boom and a great defense, and Russ got the glory, and they felt that all manifested itself ultimately at the worst moment possible, when instead of running the ball and having Marshawn Lynch, who was not a defensive player, but was more in that clique, if you will, with Sherman and Thomas and those guys, they called a pass play for Russ so he could be Super Bowl MVP, and they end up losing the Super Bowl. Russ throws a pick. So we know where that came from. And we know where it all, it came to a head, right? Where I think Pete Carroll, who clearly has a sour taste in his mouth about Russ, despite the fact that Pete Carroll was a losing coach in the NFL, then got Russ, went to Russ, they won a Super Bowl, they had massive success. Where I think Pete's bitterness comes from is, I think Pete feels like, I chose you over the defensive guys. We paid you. We traded those guys away. You wanted me to hire Shane Waldron. I hired Shane Waldron. We put the team in your hands. We did all of those things. I cost myself these other relationships. And then you demanded out. I did all of these things in service to you, and then you demanded out. And I get that. I get that it's not a marriage, but to use a messy metaphor, if no matter how much great history you have with somebody, if all of a sudden they're like, I don't like your friends, I don't like who you're hanging out with, I don't like what your hobbies, and you cut all those things off in service of your significant other, and then your significant other is still like, I'm out anyway, you'd be extra upset. It's like, I made all these sacrifices for you, for us, and then you bounced. So I think that's where it comes from with Pete Carroll, and I understand it. All right, quickly ask the Nets question.
All right, the Nets are locked in on interim head coach Jacque Vaughn to be their coach through 2024.
By the way, he didn't say jockey. He said Jacque. That was the echo. That was the echo. Go ahead.
Sean Marks said that he is was the clear-cut choice despite the Ime Udoka rumors. Reports say strong voices in the league push Joe's side to pass on Udoka. Now Vaughn is stepping right into an unprecedented Kyrie situation. The Nets crushed the Knicks last night. Do you think they finally took a step in the right direction?
Okay. So the Nets just don't know what they're doing. The idea that you would be steeped in all this controversy and then leak to everyone in the world you're hiring Udoka without being certain you're hiring him is baffling. It is a wild decision. Just a wild. So that's Sean Marks and management not knowing what they're doing. Now Jacque Vaughn. Jacque Vaughn was the coach of the Magic for 3 years. The 4th worst winning percentage in NBA history, okay? It's Sidney Lowe, Tim Floyd, Kurt Rambis, Jacque Vaughn for guys who got at least 200 games. However, with the Nets, he's been good. Now, he's been there for 6 years. He was the interim after KD and Kyrie pushed out Kenny Atkinson, did well with them in the bubble. They get to the playoffs, but they decided not to hire him. They go with the KD and Kyrie want Nash, so they go with Nash instead, right? Now he's there. They do look better, and they're going with him. The concerns are he knows and everyone knows he wasn't the first choice. That's not, you know what I mean? He said it. He said at his press conference, he was like, listen, I don't know if I was my wife's first choice. We've been together 20 years. I mean, he said it. What's most notable to me is it's hard to separate the Nets seemingly turning a corner. They played the best game last night they played in 2 years. I understand they're playing the Knicks, but that's not what... The Nets were allowing 116 points per game. Under Vaughn, they're allowing 90. Okay? But it is hard to separate. Is this a Jacque Vaughn thing, or is this a Kyrie not there thing? Without Kyrie, they're 3-1. The defense has been excellent. KD played his best game of the season last night. Had an easy 29-point triple-double. And I do not believe Kyrie contributes to winning basketball. I do not believe he makes them better. And I do not believe that when he finally, if he gets unsuspended, they are better with him than without him. Also, at the game last night, and let me put it like this. Giant group of guys all over the entrances to the stadium with megaphones passing out literature who seem to like that movie that Kyrie promoted a hell of a lot more than Kyrie did. I posted it on Twitter, but the headline of the flyer that they were handing out in front of Barclays Center is the truth about anti-Semitism, and then long passages. So, and if you want to read it, you can check on my Twitter. So that, when Kyrie says, I'm not, you guys act like I have some big platform. Kyrie's tweet and the ensuing controversy has now brought that to the Nets' doorstep. You then add to the fact, I don't think he helps them on the court, and I think Jacque Vaughn is about to deal with and Sean Marks, a very difficult situation, because all of a sudden the Nets look like a real basketball team, and they can play real defense, and that's without Ben Simmons doing anything, and Durant looks happy, and it is a very tricky situation for Jacque Vaughn, who's now finally getting his second chance as an NBA head coach. So there's that. With all that said, the Nets are in far better shape than the Lakers, who are an unmitigated disaster. We discuss them and play a game next. What's right? All right, welcome back in. What's right, Nick Wright, episode 93. So if you're watching us live on YouTube, A, we appreciate that greatly. B, tell your friends, subscribe. This is going to be a YouTube exclusive for a bit as we try to work on the audio and try to make sure we're good. So why don't you talk for a second? I want to say something about YouTube here in a moment, but Demonze, I think you wanted to say something about the Nets from the previous segment, and you weren't able to.
You said that it was like a Kyrie thing. I was going to say something about it being Steve Nash, but then the Kyrie thing made more sense. I was just saying, like, maybe they didn't like Steve Nash.
Well, I think that it could be, it doesn't have to be one or the other. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, it could be both of them.
Right.
And so, but I also think there's a real question about what will make Kevin Durant happy.
Right.
You know what I mean? Who does he want to play?
It seemed like
with?
he was having a lot of fun.
What'd you say?
It did seem like he was having a lot of fun last night. You could probably see it a lot better in person.
He was having a ton of fun last night.
Yeah.
And now it's also he's playing the Knicks. You realize he has not lost. Kevin Durant has not lost to the Knicks since 2013 with the Thunder. Never lost to them with the Warriors. Did not lose to them his last 3 years with the Thunder, and has not lost to them with the Nets. That's unbelievable. Now, the Knicks have been bad. But while again, this will be a YouTube exclusive. We're going to talk Lakers in a moment. So YouTube comments, I've always stayed away from them because I've always heard they're just awful.
It's a dark place.
It's a dark place. Wilds told me the other day, he was like, the commenters on the First Things First YouTube videos are the nicest people ever. So I was like, I'm not looking at this. I'm going to read you a handful of comments from the video we posted yesterday. And when I tell you, these people make me feel like I am the host of the greatest sports television show of all time. So we posted this video. It was the open of the show yesterday.
Right.
Already got 380 comments. I'm just going to read you the first ones that pop up. Wilds is so funny, politely but sarcastically destroying the whole Nets organization. Then a guy quotes me about Jacque Vaughn. Then people saw him coach. Nick was too wild for that. The Nick is the Michael Scott to the Nets Toby. He doesn't understand why they are the way they are. Nick is going to feast during every Nets loss this season. This is going to be glorious. That no way this guy brought a real olive branch on the set, crying, laughing emoji. It goes on. Now these are people arguing about the Nets. These three have amazing chemistry. The Knicks are more embarrassing than the Nets. I'm telling you, these folks are the nicest. Somebody wrote on here, they've been watching me for 5 years and they're so proud of my growth. Like I don't know if this is common on YouTube, but the commenters being this incredibly nice is just unbelievable.
There, man.
Say it again.
Got the Puritans in there.
I don't know what it is. It's lovely. Okay, I think we have our audio issues fixed. So now, again, that was kind of a YouTube exclusive. We're going to pretend we're starting the second segment fresh and clean right here for the podcast listeners. So we'll do it right now. All right, welcome back in episode 93, What's Right with Nick Wright. We will get to a game in a moment. But first, Demonze, we need to talk a little bit about the Lakers.
Let's talk about your Lakers, man. Yeah. They are now 2-9. Mm-hmm. Lost to the Clippers by 13 without the quiet one. Mm-hmm. What's going on?
Okay, and LeBron got hurt. So LeBron, we don't know if it's a groin or what it is.
Or if he just doesn't want to play with these guys.
No. I mean, he clearly injured himself last night. I mean, they took him out of the game. And so, yes, listen. LeBron, for the first 16 years of his career, was the most indestructible athlete in the history of basketball. I mean, I watched him suffer a high ankle sprain, tighten his shoelaces up, and just go finish. He never missed time with injuries, despite playing super high minutes, a super physical style. Then in year 17, against the Warriors on Christmas, his first year with the Lakers, he tore his groin. Wait, was that? Hold on. Is this his 5th year? Hold on. This is year 20. Oh, so I guess it was, I'm sorry, year 16 he tore his groin. Year 17 they won the title, he was healthy. Year 18, Solomon Hill somersaulted into his ankle. He was injured all year. Last year he was mostly healthy until the end of the year. There's year 19. Now it's year 20. He was dealing with a foot injury. Now dealing with a leg injury. This is what happens. He's played the most minutes of any player in the history of the sport, playoffs and regular season combined, or he's second to Kareem on that. He's in year 20. He's the 3rd oldest guy in the whole league, and he's playing these types of minutes. The only guys older than him are Iguodala and Haslam, who Haslam doesn't play at all, and Iguodala barely plays. So it's sad, but this is inevitable. That is not the biggest problem with the Lakers. So they're playing the Clippers last night, right? The Clippers did not have Kawhi Leonard. Yet the Clippers somehow despite not having Kawhi Leonard all year long, are a competent organization. They didn't have Kawhi Leonard all last year, won 42 games. They're still a legitimate NBA team without Kawhi Leonard. You know why?
This is going in the opposite.
Because Lawrence Frank has built out a real NBA roster. You have the stars. They did what the Lakers did. Traded all their assets for Paul George like the Lakers did with LeBron. Now, they didn't win a title. And the Lakers won that title. LeBron was unbelievable. Anthony Davis was great in the bubble. That's fine. But what Rob Pelinka has done with this Lakers roster, post winning the title, it honestly would have been better to spin a goddog wheel. It was, if you were intentionally trying to build the worst basketball teams possible, but you have to have LeBron James and Anthony Davis on the team. You could not do worse than Pelinka's done the last 2 years.
Like Deanna mixing up all those
Deanna
mixing up all those ingredients to like make slime and stuff.
Oh, absolutely right. So let me give you another team, not just the Clippers. Something else interesting happened yesterday. The Milwaukee Bucks played. The Milwaukee Bucks did not have Chris Middleton. They haven't had him all year. In this game, they didn't have Drew Holiday. And Giannis took the night off. No Giannis, no Holiday, no Middleton. They won. They beat the Thunder. I understand Thunder are a bad team. Beat them in overtime. You know why? Because they have legitimate NBA roster.
Yeah.
They have built a real team.
Yeah.
And it is unfathomable to me.
So I've had a couple like people come in the messages telling me, a couple fans of the show saying that Rajon Rondo has always been like the clear fix for the Lakers. Do you buy into that?
No, he's too old at this point. But I do buy into that Anthony Davis's offense has fallen off a cliff.
Yeah.
And they don't have a point guard.
He also was saying that he's mad that he's playing. I mean, he didn't say he's mad, but he said that he's uncomfortable playing the 5.
He is, but fuck up, buddy. But regardless, those should be the issues in the margins. The Lakers have done such a horrific job that trading Anthony Davis is now on the board.
Yeah, I saw that.
And I said before the year that their whole plan of, we're going to keep Russ and make it work. When their plan was never to make it work with Russ. The plan was wait and see if a trade better than Turner and Hield comes around for Russ and those picks. And I said on this show and on the TV show, better be careful, because with that opening schedule, you could be 2-8 after 10 games, and the season's basically over. Now it's 11 games, they're 2-9. In NBA history, teams to start 2-9. Only, I saw this yesterday, I wish I marked it. Less than 10% have finished above 500. Above 500. Only 4 have made the playoffs. And only 1 has won a playoff series. NBA history. Team starting 2-9. So they're totally ruined. They might end up trading Anthony Davis. And now I'm going to give you the one bright side. Okay? I do think. Now, the Nets right now are playing well. When Kyrie comes back, I don't know how sustainable all that is, okay? I do think there is at least a conversation if the Lakers call the Nets and say, listen, KD's unhappy. He wanted out. The Ben Simmons contract is a disaster with 3.5 years left on it. You also don't have picks. We will give you Anthony Davis and Russell Westbrook's expiring contract, plus our 2 picks in 27 and 29 for
Kyrie.
No.
Oh, KD.
For KD and Ben. And then Kyrie walks in the offseason. Russ's contract expires. You have Anthony Davis. You have built back up some of your draft capital. and all of a sudden, you're in New York City with Anthony Davis and max salary cap space. And that's how you're going to rebuild. AD's 29. He's 5 years younger than KD. You're not winning anything this year. I don't think they would do AD and 2 picks for Kevin Durant. I don't think the Nets would do that. Okay? I think however, if you gave them a way to get out of Ben Simmons' deal, which is be like, oh, why would they want Russ? Well, Russ actually coming off the bench playing a little bit better, but that doesn't matter. What you would want is the fact that Russ's contract expires. Kyrie's contract is expiring after this year. You would just have Anthony Davis. Yeah, and Joe Harris is on a bad deal, but that's the only bad contract you'd have. And you'd have max cap space. Cap's going to go up soon. You're in New York City. You're like that's their path forward. That's the Lakers' only save, and it wouldn't even save this year. By the time that happens, this year's already going to be done. So that's the one silver lining, but I don't trust Rob Pelinka to do that. Rob Pelinka and Lakers ownership for continuing to empower Pelinka because he was Kobe's agent and they have such loyalty there is insane to me. All right, let's play a game.
All right, it's time for a game. It's all in or fold.
Yep.
First one we got here is OBJ listed Dallas as a potential landing spot, and Jerry Jones, Mike McCarthy, and Ezekiel Elliott all said they want him. All in or fold, OBJ is the missing piece for Dallas.
Okay, I'd really rather not do either one of these because I kind of believe in it. I don't want to fold, but I certainly don't want to go all in saying he's the missing piece. But I will. I'll say all. So I'm going to describe a team to you. A defensive player of the year, Hall of Fame caliber front 7 defensive player. An all-pro caliber corner. A good wide receiving core already. A quarterback who has put up great numbers in the regular season but has no postseason success. I just described to you this year's Dallas Cowboys and last year's Los Angeles Rams. What did the Rams do around this time last year? Added Odell Beckham Jr. He was the missing piece. In a wide-open NFC, did the Cowboys have a lot of similarities there? Would it make a lot of sense? Would he work? My concern with Odell is he's had too many injuries, and when he comes back, he's not going to be the guy he was last year for the Rams, who was sensational in the playoffs. If he is that guy, the guy he was in the playoffs last year, then I think this is a no-brainer for Dallas. And Green Bay's off the board now because they stink. The Rams, to me, are off the board now because they stink. The Niners don't need him. They have too many other weapons. The Bucks aren't very good, and wide receivers the one spot they got plenty of guys at.
Right.
I never thought Buffalo was a realistic spot for Odell, and they have plenty of receivers. The Chiefs just added their receiver. You know what I mean? So to me, it's if Odell's going to play this year, it is either with Dallas or with the Giants in a reunion. Seahawks have Lockett and Metcalf, and the Seahawks aren't really like a blue chip franchise, like marquee. Like go back to New York or go to Dallas. That's what I see Odell doing. Next.
Does Green Bay beat Dallas this week also?
No. Green Bay does not beat Dallas. I think Dallas crushes them. That's what I think. And by the way, the poll, the people in the poll say yes, 60% say Odell should sign with Dallas. All right, next.
All right, Milwaukee finally fell for the first time this season, but got back on track in double OT, and their double OT win versus the Thunder without Giannis. They're looking like the best team in basketball, and they're still missing Chris Middleton. All in or fold, the Bucks will win 65 games.
65's tough, and the team, if you win 65 or more, historically, you are an overwhelming title favorite. Now, the Rockets won 65 a few years ago, lost to the Warriors in the conference finals. It's not a sure thing, but 60, once you get 65 plus, you are in the historically, best regular season teams ever category, right?
Right.
Yeah, I think they're winning 65 games.
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely.
They're clearly the best team.
Yeah.
And Giannis has been great, but it's not even like Giannis has been unbelievable. Right. You know what I mean? Giannis is so clearly the best player in the league. It's because of what he does on both ends. It's not even a discussion. No one can argue otherwise. I mean, the Bucks, they've built a real team. Now, I don't love the fact that Grayson Allen gets minutes for them, but that is really picking nits. That is an excellent team that should be the two-time defending champs. We should be talking about a Bucks dynasty. If Middleton didn't get hurt, they would have worked the Warriors in. And by the way, the Warriors...
They would have had to work somebody else to get to the Warriors.
What do you mean? Who? What are you talking about?
You said they would have worked the Warriors.
Yeah, in the finals. You're talking about the Celtics?
Yeah.
But they played the Celtics, and they lost in 7 games without
saying.
Middleton.
They would have had to work them.
Okay, but they would have.
Get there.
Listen, I understand that. I believe they would have won that series with Middleton. I think you believe they would have won that series with Middleton. By the way, it's not in today's show. I just want to get on the record again because I did it on TV. I want to do it here. Folks are underrating that the Warriors might be in real trouble.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
They're 4-7. Their last win, Steph was against the Kings by 3.
50.
Steph had to go 47-8-8, and they had to get very lucky calls down the stretch. Shockingly, so what is disappointing for the Warriors and they didn't see coming was that none of the young guys seemingly have improved, and Wiseman's going in the other direction. What should not surprise them at all is the vibes might be off after Draymond slugged Jordan Poole. All right, next.
All right, your other son, Luka Doncic, started his season only trailing Wilt Chamberlain for most 30-point games to start a season.
Yeah.
His streak ended last night, but he leads his team in points, assists, rebounds, and steals. All in or fold, Luka is greater than Wilt.
Okay, well, no, we got to fold on that. Luka's not greater than Wilt. But do you think Luka's the second best player in the league? So let me give you just give you the possible names. Guys who are in the discussion, okay? And I'll give it. Do you think he's better than?
Yeah, Tatum.
I'm going to go in reverse order.
Oh, okay.
Do you think he's better than Tatum?
Yeah, possibly. I think that one's kind of neck and neck, and maybe Luka gets the advantage.
Okay, so I know that hurts you, but yes, you think he's better than Tatum. Do you think he's better than Jokic?
Yeah.
Me too. Do you think he's better than Steph?
I don't know. Their defenses are both.
Right. You call him a wash on defense. Who's the better offensive player, Luka or Steph?
Luka. I mean, he controls the ball.
Yep. Yeah. So okay. Do you think he's better than Ja?
Yeah, he's got to be.
Do you think he's better than Durant?
I don't know. Whenever I think of Luka, I'm comparing these guys. Like, he's able to go down there, control the ball, dish it. Yeah. I mean, all around.
Yeah. It's just Giannis.
Yeah.
He's the second best player in the league. You and I 2 weeks ago saw him in person.
Yeah.
And
total control.
It is LeBron-esque. Just total control over everything on the court on the offensive end. And I know everyone kills him for the usage. Like, oh, you can't win a title with one guy dominating the ball like this, all this stuff. He's never
play like that to where it runs him down.
Well, and that's not a criticism, in my opinion, until we see him do that at the expense of a good player. He's never had an all-star teammate. He's never had a guy. The only teammate he's ever had to make an all-star team was his rookie year, which was Dirk's final year. Dirk got an honorary all-star spot because it's his 20th year in the league, but he was not an all-star player. Now, we were talking Lakers earlier. What is interesting is this. As great as Luka is, he is not a perfect fit with everybody, okay? So, like, he's not available. But let's say the Mavs could get Dame. That's not really a perfect fit, right? Now, do I think Tatum would be a great fit? Of course. Because Tatum is a two-way player, doesn't have to have the ball in his hands the whole time. Tatum's not available, right? You've got to find the right type of star to pair with him.
Anthony Davis to the Mavs.
That is exactly right. Now, the Mavs don't have it'd have to be a weird 3-team trade, but that is the perfect player in the league for Luka. Because AD doesn't really want the ball a ton.
Right.
He is a defensive force. He can still stretch the floor a bit. It's perfect. That is the which is why, by the way, who's the guy Luka plays the best with? Or Luka plays the most like? LeBron. LeBron and AD. They won a title, a first year together.
Right.
Like the guy the Mavs should be thinking about targeting 5 years from now is Evan Mobley. Evan Mobley, the center for power forward / center for the Cavs. He's like a Kevin Garnett clone type of guy.
Yeah.
If you could bring a guy from history to pair with Luka, my number one pick might be Garnett. Because Garnett doesn't need the ball, is an unbelievable defensive player, one of the best ever, and can also score efficiently. So it is a tough one, and I don't know how the Mavs are going to get the guy, but it's not like Luka's freezing out great players. All right, next.
All right, we've now discussed this twice, but let's get an official prediction. All in or fold, the Lakers will trade AD this year.
I fold. I don't think they will. I think there's an argument they should, but I don't think they will. Because
they're bad.
They just don't know what they're doing. They just don't know what they're doing. All right, next.
All right, you had a tweet Tuesday night shouting out Colorado. I think we might show the tweet up here.
Oh, yeah. Colorado legalized psychedelics.
I thought that happened a while ago.
They might have decriminalized it. They legalized it. Like you can
get caught with it.
No, that's decriminalized is you get caught with it and you don't go to jail. Legalized is you can go to the store and buy them.
Right. I thought that was going on for a while, but I could be. So
I wrote, I know literally 100% of Denver sports fans hate me and I'm not welcome there, but y'all do government right and your state is beautiful. Can I visit maybe Boulder at least? Go ahead.
Read off quote.
Yeah.
All in or fold. Colorado is the best state in the country.
All right. I'm not ready to call it the best state in the country. However, it is, over the last decade, the way, in my opinion, listen, I'm not going to talk politics here, but I will reveal mine to a degree. The way Florida has plummeted on the places I could live list, and Colorado has skyrocketed. You then add to it, if you're concerned about climate change the way I am, Colorado seems relatively immune to it. There's not not going to be earthquakes. That's not a climate change thing. You're not going to have to worry about sea level there. I love the politics. It's beautiful. You get all 4 seasons. You have an NBA team. It really sucks that Broncos and Nuggets fans hate me so much. It really sucks. I think they're in the process of potentially voting Boebert out. That's the one that I showed you, the
really close one.
64 votes.
Yeah.
300,000 votes cast. It is, as of this moment, a 64 vote differential. So, yeah, I mean, Colorado is a great place. When the pandemic was, when we were like locked in our house and it was just ambulance sirens and they had a makeshift morgue in Central Park and I thought things were really, really going to go left. Oh, at the beginning of the pandemic, you weren't here. You were in Kansas City.
No,
I mean, there was.
It must have been really sad out here, but
I was horrified.
Makeshift morgue. What do you mean?
I mean, there were so many dead bodies. They had to do a makeshift morgue in Central Park. They brought a Navy ship and put it off where Chelsea Piers is as a makeshift morgue. And there's just too many. New York in the very beginning, it was awful, awful. And I didn't know what was going to happen with the world. I'm not a doomsday prepper, but was I looking at ranches in Colorado, like places that had their own water? And like little underground bunkers, I was. But a lot of people were. A lot of people were because they were expensive.
Yeah.
But is it like on the board, DeMonze, that the next, with fingers crossed, assuming I get one, that with the next time I get a big lump sum of money, a TV contract or something, that I just buy on speculation like 10 acres somewhere outside of Denver just to own, just like as a worst case scenario, like whole family is holes up there. Yeah, I like Colorado.
All right.
I like its central location. I like its politics. I don't mind the snow. I like Colorado a lot. I also promised those people that if Boebert loses, I'm going to go on TV and say something nice about Nikola Jokic. So there's that. Hey, we'll answer your questions from the chat. That's next, plus a book club update. What's right? All right, welcome back in episode 93, What's Right with Nick Wright. Last week's book club went far too long, and it was because I didn't have my copy of the book, so I didn't have the parts highlighted. There's a couple things I just want to mention. Again, we're up to page 150 in, or is it right past 150? We're up to page 155, chapter 25 in E.H. Gombrich's A Little History of the World. For next week, we are going to, because we only have 2 more weeks to finish this. So, you know what? Let's make it easy this week. And for next week, we are going to get to chapter 32. We're going to get to page 206. What's so funny? I read books. And this can, because it's a history book, be a little dry. So I'm going to be very quick here. There's just a few things here that I found really interesting. So the beginning of our section this week was really about the Roman Empire, okay? So they talk about Julius Caesar and how much he essentially conquered the world. So do you know, have you ever heard the phrase, Demonte, et tu brute, et tu Brutus? Okay. So Julius Caesar was incredibly the most powerful man in the world, kind of the ruler of the world, head of the Roman Empire, and then his friends and colleagues got sick of the fact that he had so much power and they stabbed him. And one of the people that stabbed him was Brutus, who was his friend, and famously, historically, he said, et tu brute, when he was being stabbed, because he's like, even you, Brutus. Yeah. So, like, when a friend betrays you, et tu brute is like, okay. It's what you would have said to Ope this week. Sorry. Should we bleep that? Demonte got an argument with a friend of his. I was very proud, by the way, proud parenting moment. Demonte sometimes gets, like, very loud, and it's a little
concerning.
I don't love. I'm not the best example of this, but I don't love how you control your anger at times. Sometimes you get to a 12 when maybe it should simmer at an 8. Yeah. However, Demonte was yelling at a friend of his, but it was because Demonte was trying to fight for righteousness.
Yeah, and he was also, I had him in my AirPod. He was also screaming at me. I wasn't just...
Right, but he's not my kid. It's not my responsibility. But Demonte was fighting legitimately angry with his friend because he thought his friend was being, I don't want to...
On the wrong side of
on the wrong side of history on something, right. And Demonte was fighting for a righteous cause. So what's interesting, so remember how we talked about Sunday, Monday, Tuesday because of the gods? So the Julian calendar is the one we still use, named after Julius Caesar. He gets a month named after him, July, for Julius, and his adopted son, who took over after him, was Augustus, and that's where we get August from. How about that? Also, I don't have your mom has all these nicknames for everyone. What do I don't have a nickname for you. I just call you pal. What do you think of the nickname Augustus?
Augustus.
Can I tell you why? So, Julius Caesar, that would make me like Julius Caesar. Because Julius Caesar was one of the most powerful men in the world. His adopted son, who took over for him, was Augustus. So I think I might start calling you Augie. Can we make a graphic of that? Then we get to talking about Pontius Pilate and Jesus Christ. It's very fascinating. Also, I underrated how bad Nero was. I might be saying it wrong. I've heard of people reference the ruler Nero about how brutal he was. What I didn't know was he had his own mother murdered and his wife and tutor, along with a number of their other relations and friends, because he lived in a constant fear of an assassination. So he was just like, I don't love you. You scare me, so I'll just have you killed. The book then talks about how that if in the Roman Empire, if you weren't a Christian or a Jew or a close relative of Nero, if you just lived like out in the land, his life was pretty peaceful and pleasant. And they talk about the journey.
What chapter are you at right now?
This is page 100 where I'm reading from right there. And he talks about the Emperor Trajan, who built what?
What chapter?
What chapter? 17.
17.
Why?
That's the chapter that really got me thinking.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
About what?
The fact that they built those Colosseums that could hold like up to 50,000 people. Mm-hmm. It's just so crazy to think that like that could hold a sporting event now, but it was 2,000 years ago. Like, these guys are really gods.
All right, you've now tilted me here.
What do you mean?
So that's a great observation,
Yeah.
and it's a good point. Did you read?
Yeah, no, I've been reading it. I've definitely been keeping up, man. You have no idea what I do in my spare time.
Well, that's true. And have you really been reading it?
Somewhat. Cliff Notes.
Cliff's Notes of this book.
Mhm.
All right, I'll take it. There's book club for the week. Next week we get to page, I think it's 207, and then the following week we finish it. All right, let's answer some questions from the readers because then we got to go.
All right, first question's from Eric O'Malley. He asks, do you ever bet NBA player props? Do you avoid betting on small NBA slates such as the one tonight with only 4 games?
I don't really bet NBA until the postseason or if I'm going to a game. If I go to a game, I'll bet just for some added entertainment, and I'm not sharp on player props, NFL or NBA. Next.
All right, Luke Julian asks, is the Draymond punch affecting the Warriors, or is it more of the lack of bench production? Steph is playing like an MVP, yet they aren't very good.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think the Draymond punch, Poole has not gotten better.
Yeah.
Clay
He also has like a little chip on his shoulder.
Yeah, Clay and Draymond have gotten a little bit worse, as you would expect. Wiseman's been a negative, and Kuminga and Moody aren't doing anything. Like, Steph is really having to carry that load. It also, by the way, we all need to come to grips with the fact that I know the Warriors just won the title, and then 2 years before that, the Lakers won the title. And in the year in between, it looked like the Nets and Durant were going to win the title, their first year with Harden. It is in play. In fact, it is overwhelmingly likely that LeBron, Steph, and KD, that era is done. That this is the Giannis, Ja, Luka era that we are in the midst of. Not that that's on its way, that's where we are right now. Next.
Fair assessment. Justin asks, are you guys going to do something special for episode 100 coming up?
I hadn't thought about that, but yes. Get on that, folks at Blue Duck. I don't know what that means, but let's do something. Go ahead.
D. Hill asks, what would you do with Kawhi if you were the GM of the Clippers?
What can you do? I don't know. The Kawhi thing's the most baffling thing in sports right now.
Yeah.
Did he re-injure his knee? What is happening? He got hurt 2 seasons ago.
Yeah, this is the play where the guy fell on him after he was shooting, right? This is...
What do you mean?
Or was
From
that
2
the
years
first
ago?
Kawhi was shooting, and somebody was in his landing space.
No. That was where Kawhi got his first major injury.
That was the first one on
with
the Spurs.
Yeah,
okay.
No, the ACL was he just went up for a jump shot in the playoffs and landed funny. No, he didn't land on anyone, and they said he had a knee sprain, but evidently he tore his ACL. It was 2 years ago. I don't understand it. Next.
All right, Lewis Haynes says, I reign from KC and represent the finest of the city. From peanut wings to margaritas at Los Corrales, to shopping at the River Market. Oh, the River Market. I've been there before. What's your favorite barbecue in Kansas City? Been listening since 96.5.
Oh, wow. Been listening. That's Laszlo and Slim
Yeah.
Station. Listen, the best barbecue is Jack Stack. But Jack Stack is expensive. You need a reservation. It's you know what I mean, tablecloths. It's not a real barbecue joint. It's like a fine dining place that serves barbecue. So it's in a separate category. So of the barbecue joints, Arthur Bryant's is far and away my favorite. Arthur Bryant's right next to Negro League Museum down on 18th and Vine. I think it's the best barbecue joint in the country. Joe's is good. All the barbecue in Kansas City is good. It's the best barbecue place in the world. But my favorite is Arthur Bryant's. All right, last.
Matt Ford asks, did Nick fall for the fake LeBron trade tweet yesterday?
No, I have not. I don't know if it's because I haven't updated Twitter. I don't know if it's because I
don't see
follow
the fake
right
verified
people.
guys yet?
I haven't seen any fake verified people.
Seen a lot.
I haven't seen one. Can I tell you one thing that is very cool, though? So you click on the fake verified people, and it says this person is verified because they're a Twitter Blue subscriber.
So there is the
Click
distinguishment.
Click on mine. Read that to the audience. Account information.
This account is verified because it's notable in government, news, entertainment, or another designated category.
Oh, so Twitter, without me even doing anything, was like, oh, no, we got to leave this guy his check mark. We can't have fake Nick Wrights out there. Oh, one last note before we leave. Look at this, DeMonze. Look at what your, where is it? Look at what your sister did for me yesterday. Did you see this in the family chat?
See?
Hold on. Oh, I have to sign in. I'm on TikTok now, America.
Oh, you have a TikTok account.
Get Nick Wright 1. Somebody has Get Nick Wright. I'm going to try to get it. But Get Nick Wright and the number 1. Oh, Augie, look. That's what I'm calling you now. Augie. How do you like it? What do you like more? Oh, okay, so let me just ask you. What would you like more? Augustus, Augie, or Gus? Now, keep in mind, my dad's dad, who you never met, his name was Gus. You know, I think Gus. Do you like that name?
I think I like the Augie and, Augustus and Gus. I like more than Augie.
Yeah, Augie I don't like either. All right, I'm calling you Gus. And whenever anyone asks me, like, nah, it's this thing between me and my dad. But we'll know. It's because I'm comparing myself to Julius Caesar. And you, my adopted son and heir, who's going to take over all the lands of my accomplishments. There it is. Episode 93. What's Right with Nick Wright and Gus. Talk to you guys tomorrow for the gambling show. What's Right? Hey, it's Nick Wright. Thank you so much for watching. Please do us a favor. Click subscribe. It helps my ego. And Demonze's got a financial bonus writing on a number of YouTube subscribers, so help him out. And also, click the bell. I don't know what the bell does, but they tell me to tell you to click the bell. And your audio listeners, people that have commutes, drives, whatever it is, subscribe to the podcast as well, wherever you get the podcast. Same show, just in your ears instead of through your eyes. All that. Check it out. Appreciate y'all.